Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, we've had a wet last 24 hours or so here in the Ozarks, at least where I'm at. Yesterday, my goodness, it rained almost nonstop. I mean, there was little periods where it would stop for a little bit, maybe back off to just kind of a misty drizzle, but rained pretty much constantly. And then last night, overnight, it woke me up. I thought I was going to have to go get the pontoons out because it came down so hard for quite a while. I mean, we've got a few flooded roadways and stuff around here, but everything is for the most part pretty much okay. And there's more rain expected this week, so it looks like a very wet middle of June for us, which is, unusual a little bit. Usually it starts to kind of tone down and dry out by now with the official summer coming up soon, but most people, I don't think, are complaining too much about that. Of course, things in this war is not good, right? At least not good as much as we can tell. And I suspect that there's a whole lot that we're not seeing. It's like most any other war. I mean, there's definitely more video coming out about this one than there has been really about the Ukraine and Russia thing, but I think that there's probably a whole lot that we're missing because, well, it's being kept from us. Depending on, like I said yesterday, depending on who you're listening to, Israel has really handed it to Iran, and Iran's on the verge of collapse. Or maybe Iran is really handing it to Israel, and they're scared because they've never been, attacked in this way before. And regardless of which side is right, or if neither or both are, both sides do seem to be taking some pretty heavy damage. And I think that this war, this conflict, is going to change a lot of things, even if it's able to be resolved in the near future. Strictly from the fact that in its entire existence as a state, Israel has never really had a threat on its homeland, meaning that there was active, heavy combat. I mean, yes, I know Hamas shoots some rockets up there. Hezbollah and the Houthis drop some ballistic missiles there from time to time, but they're usually either small enough or limited enough that the Iron Dome can handle it, and occasionally there's one slips through and makes contact. We're now seeing video of entire city blocks being blown away, apartment buildings, a lot of damage. And I think that from a psychological perspective, that's going to change a lot of things. Israel has always been believed to have been almost impenetrable. The people that live there, and a lot of the West, has always believed that between the weapon systems they have, defense systems, and just the fact of that it's Israel, and if anyone tried to touch them, that there would be a lot of people that come to their aid. There has to be kind of the changing of thinking and maybe some fear stepping in that maybe Israel isn't quite as invulnerable as believed before. So that's going to change things also. One of the things that could be happening, I don't know. There's a lot of speculation talk online that maybe the United States is actually getting geared up to go help. And there's not really any confirmed, stories of this, but overnight, yesterday evening, 30-some U.S. military tankers, the big planes that carry lots of fuel, took off and headed towards the Middle East. It's unknown what they're going that direction for. Are they just going over there to do some war games? Are they going over there alone? Or are they going over there with, some type of combat planes going with them that, of course, are not on radar? A lot of people are wondering. The USS Nimitz carrier group is headed that direction. There's a lot of speculation there because that's a 50-year-old ship that should be or is on the verge of being decommissioned and put away. So there's a lot of people are wondering, are we going to see a potential false flag? I don't see any evidence of that right now, but the speculation and the theory behind it does kind of make sense. Israel has been doing a lot of talk about trying to get the United States involved in this, and I think that they need the United States involved in this because they can't complete their mission. The nuclear facilities in Iran there's nothing that Israel has that will take them out. Only the United States has weapons that might be able to. So Israel's, only options is either the United States gets involved and takes them out, or Israel stays in this until they completely dismantle the Iranian government to where they can go in almost on foot and do that. And that's going to be a long war. So Israel needs the United States to kind of finish this. And I guess the question is how long will the Trump administration hold out? I think most people, at least that I've seen, that I've talked to, that I've seen online, believe that at some point the United States is going to become more directly involved in this. And it could be sooner than later. We'll have to see. But here's the thing. This is certainly not the only thing going on in the world. It's the only thing that anyone's talking about for the most part, but it's not the only thing going on. Last night I compiled a list. I posted it over on my locals channel of things that's happened in the last 2 weeks that everyone's kind of forgotten about. And I went back, and of course it's not everything. I tried to go back 2 weeks to the first of the month and find important things that's gone on in the news that no one's talking about, right? Like Ukraine attacking very heavily Russia and taking out several strategic bombers. Everyone, we thought World War III was going to happen then, right? There was even the Pentagon was warning that Russia was going to attack Ukraine, that Russia was going to retaliate against Ukraine very heavily, and they were worried about significant damage. And while Russia has, lobbed some missiles and some drones at them, it's not been anything too spectacular. So, is it over, or have they yet to do that? The whole Elon Musk and Trump thing, remember that? Remember they were fighting? Trump was, calling Elon names. Elon was calling Trump names. Elon said that, Trump was on the Epstein list and that he should be impeached. And then that just kind of went away. We've had talk about Trump is tapping Palantir so that they can make this big, huge central database of all Americans on it. It'll have all your data, everything, so that they can just type your name in and see every possible thing there is to know about you. That was talked about. A bill, though, the big, beautiful bill, found out that it had a wording in there that would centralize the control of artificial intelligence into the federal government and then implement artificial intelligence into several departments within the federal government, that it would basically be taking over. Just on and on. The list goes on and on. And one could say that, well, maybe this Israeli thing is distracting from that. I don't know that. But what I do know is that when you start to look and you start to map things out, things are bad. And I'm not getting on here to be this doom and gloom guy. I don't want people to be scared. But when you start to look at, the things that's happened over the past week, the past 2 weeks, the past month, the past 6 months, a lot has happened. And because everyone has shorter and shorter attention spans because of doom scrolling through, your social media and all that kind of stuff, people forget. This is the new big thing. Probably by next week, most people have forgotten about it and there'll be something else going on. And I think that is part of the plan. That is part of the PSYOP, to keep us very busy, to keep us bouncing around from thing to thing that's happening. It keeps us in fear, keeps our adrenaline up, our adrenal glands all out of balance, but we're not focused on any one thing long enough to really absorb the reality and the danger of what's going on with that. We just bounce to the next thing and we forget that this thing is happening. Most Americans now, they've forgotten about the Epstein list. No one's talking about that anymore. Oh, they forgot about, declassifying all these top secret documents. Oh, they forgot, we've got, it was announced also this week in the news that the Pentagon chief, the Secretary of Defense, said that there is a contingency plan to invade Greenland if necessary. Why in the world are we invading Greenland now? And these things just slip by because the narrative is constantly changing to something different. There's something new going on. There's something exciting in it, and it becomes, it's a drug, okay? And it's being done for purpose to keep everyone busy, in fear, and in panic, but yet not really grasping the seriousness of what's really happening. And you and I have to be able to push through that. Yes, things like this current conflict are serious. The Palantir thing's serious. Invading Greenland, that's crazy and that's serious. All of this stuff is, but we have to realize that it's very likely, I think the odds are extremely high, that this is all being done for a purpose to suck us into this cycle of just we're addicted to all of the fear, but yet there's never enough of a pause for us to actually absorb it and to fully understand what's going on. And to think the things that's going on is much deeper and darker. You know, our world is being changed rapidly in preparation for a new system, a new world, right? A brave new world, a new beginning. You know, this beast system that's being built. And, you know, Iran and Israel blowing each other up may not directly affect you. Russia and Ukraine blowing each up may not directly affect you. You know, all the illegals in California being deported and everyone rioting and troops being deployed may not directly affect you. But the things that this stuff is really distracting us from, the big stuff they don't want you talking about, that is going to directly affect you. And this complete takeover of you, which has been planned for decades now, and it's gotten bigger and bigger. You can watch the World Economic Forum, the UN, and all these big talking heads. And yes, it's not just the left. People on the right, people that are in Trump's camp, are talking about the same kind of stuff. And that's where we really need to start preparing for. Not just start, you need to continue that. This is that new world that they're developing. That new world that separates us from the Father. At least that's the intent. And so that's why you need to push yourself more and more each day in new goals, stronger, bigger, better goals all the time, to become more self-sufficient, to have more stockpiled, to have more developed, to have, you know, more relationships, and to be less and less tethered to this system. The more dependent you are upon the system, the more you will be compelled, forced, have no choice to be sucked into it and to go along. And that's hard for a lot of people. I get that. It's hard for most people. But we have to push ourselves to do that, because this devious evil plan has been going on for very likely centuries. And they know what they're doing. And they know that the vast majority of people will get sucked into it. And our only hope here on this earth is through Yeshua, period. If he's not in your heart, if you don't serve him daily, if you don't, you know, believe upon him, then I don't know what to tell you. And in doing so, you need to do the things that he advised, that his word advised, and that is to prepare, to be ready for the end, to be ready to go through the bad times. And those bad times are here and are coming at us. So yes, the stuff in Israel's bad. Stuff in Ukraine's bad. Stuff in the markets are bad. The stuff with illegals are bad. It's all bad. It's all bad. But the big stuff is the stuff that they're keeping your attention pulled away from. And that's where you really need to be getting yourselves ready. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.